How's it going, boss buddies? Now, welcome to number 4 in my series of top 5 best winter fragrances. And today I'm going to be talking about stunning tobacco fragrances. So I've picked out a wonderful top 5. So I'll be back in just a second with my top 5. So how's it going, and welcome back to another top 5 best winter fragrances. As I said, I'm going to be talking about tobacco fragrances today. Now, tobacco happens to be one of my favourite notes, and there is a lot of, well, there's quite a few variations of it. You've got different sort of pipe tobaccos, you've got sort of flavoured tobaccos, you've got some sort of dirty tobaccos. So I picked out a sort of nice variation today of different sort of cigar tobaccos and pipe tobaccos. And some sort of very sexy and very sort of very manly or masculine fragrances. So let's get on with mine. Well, let's start with something very sexy. So for my sexy one, I've really picked out Initio's Rehab. Now this one here, I absolutely fell in love with this one. This is one of the nicest sort of, I'd say, honey sort of tobacco fragrances there is out there. This is an incredibly sexy fragrance. Now this is the one that when I wore this one, my wife told me she wanted to eat me after we'd been out for the evening. We'd had a few gin and tonics that night, so who knows if it was the gin talking or not, but this one, I mean, the both of us have worn this and it smells equally as sexy on either one of us. I mean, it's just, this one is just mind-blowing. It's a little bit softer, this one, so you've not got massive projection. However, I mean, although it does sit a little bit close to the skin, maybe sort of 1 or 2 feet projection, it's an absolutely stunning fragrance. And like I say, that sort of honey tobacco smell, it's just, this one is just one that just keeps wanting to sort of pull you in. You want to smell it more and more and more. It's a very addictive one. So as I said, the projection is not huge, but longevity is fantastic. I mean, something that you can never be disappointed with is longevity when it comes to Initio. I mean, Initio just make incredibly sexy fragrances anyway, and this is, I believe, in my opinion, this is the sexiest and the best one that they do actually make. This one's actually, I think, their most expensive one that they make. This one's around, for around a 90 ml bottle, it's around, I think it runs at $315, I want to say. But in my opinion, it is exactly worth that money. Like I said, it's an incredibly sexy fragrance. So in number 5, you've got Initio Rehab. So a beautiful sort of honey tobacco to start off with, and my sexy one to start with. So moving into my number 4, and I've picked something that I discovered fairly recently. This was a new house to me. This is the only one that I've actually tried. However, I have smelt quite a few of their fragrances, or a few of his fragrances in some stores when I was in Florida recently. The one that I've picked out is Ambre Tabac, and that's by Josier. As I said, this one's a new house for me to try, and I really did fall in love with this one. It's such a beautiful sort of vanilla tobacco. It's just, I found this one sort of really mesmerizing. I mean, you do get quite a bit of vanilla from this one, but it's such a well blended fragrance. It's so smooth and it sits on the skin so well. And it really is sort of another one that's very addictive, and one that I couldn't get enough of. This is one that I really like to add to my collection. Just to give you an overview of the notes in this one. In the top notes, you've got African incense and bergamot. In the heart notes, you've got sandalwood and patchouli. I don't really get a lot of the sort of the patchouli, or I mean, even the sandalwood is sort of very distant in there. But then in the base notes, you've got tobacco leaf, vanilla, and amber, and that is really where the heart of this one lies. That beautiful sort of blended tobacco with the vanilla. I don't so much sort of get the amber. I mean, maybe the amber is what sort of softens that sort of any harshness or anything like that, because amber tends to be a little bit softer in smell. So to me, I mean, this another one that's sort of fantastic value for money. I don't remember the exact sort of value of this one, but this one is such a beautiful blended and beautiful fragrance. Again, the longevity of this one, as always, I don't recommend anything that sort of doesn't come with great projection and great longevity, and this one is no different at all. This one sat on my skin all the way through the day, and then all the way through the evening when I was in my gym session, and I could still smell this pretty strongly when I got home after sort of sweating it out in the gym. So I mean, to me, this one is, if you're looking for something sort of a little bit softer, like a softer vanilla, but a very well sort of balanced fragrance between the tobacco and the vanilla, this is definitely one to check out. So that's Josier's Ambre Tabac, and that's in 4th position. Okay, number 3. I mean, although I'm numbering these, there's no sort of real position for them because they are very, very very different sort of smelling fragrances. But I mean, it really comes down to sort of what you prefer. But I'm just putting them in numerical order just so I can sort of keep track of them really. I know it's not too hard because there's only 5 of them. But in number 3 position, I picked out my first sort of cigar-y kind of tobacco smell, and it comes with sort of a leather in its base as well. And this one, I mean, this is one I don't have in my collection. I was very, very lucky to borrow this from one of our stores today. I've worn it and I do really love this fragrance. And I love the sort of the leatheriness. It's definitely sort of definitely more of sort of a cigar-y smell. The one I've chosen for number 3 is Tabarome Millesime by the House of Creed. This one I think is one of Creed's most underrated fragrances. I find this one absolutely beautiful. Some people have said that the longevity lacks with this one. I never really found that with this one. I was wearing this, I can't remember what I was doing during the day. I was helping somebody set up for an event, so I was running around sweating a lot because it was very, very hot that day. And I was running around sort of picking up, I had to pick up sort of 18 bags of ice and stuff like that and then go and load them all up, and I was just running around town most of the time and sort of lugging boxes of champagne and stuff like that around. And this one really stood up to the test. So, I mean, out in the 85 degrees heat here, running around with, I mean, what's generally sort of a softer type of fragrance. This one I could really smell very, very strongly all the way through the day, even through my gym session in that evening as well. So this one I think is just such a well-made fragrance, and like I say, it's one of the most underrated Creed fragrances there are out there. It's not, it did go through a little time where it was a little bit harder to find. I don't know whether they were struggling with some of the ingredients or anything like that, but then it sort of came back with a vengeance, because I know our stores in the Cayman Islands didn't carry it for a little while, and I think there's about a year and a half, somewhere around sort of 18 months to 2 years that we didn't have it for, because I was after a bottle of it myself. And I'm still going to treat myself to a bottle sometime in the very, very near future, because I really do love this one. Now, I'll just go over the notes in this one. I mean, it's sort of hard because it's hard to describe, because this one is kind of like a cigar lounge with a little bit citrus or a little bit sweetness to it. But going over the notes, just in the top notes, you've got bergamot and tangerine, which is what gives it that sort of sweetness. In the heart notes, you've got ginger as well, which again, I mean, it's definitely sort of detectable in this one. And in the base notes, you've got sandalwood, patchouli, ambergris, tobacco, and leather. And this goes to making sort of a beautiful sort of cigar-y lounge sort of smell with, like I say, a little sweetness to it. So, I mean, this one, as I said, is a very, very beautiful fragrance. So definitely deserves to be in my top 5. So that's Creed's Tabarome Millesime in number 3 position. Right, so moving into my top 2, it's very, very sort of hard to choose between these two if I was to leave one till number 1. But for number 2, I've gone with one of my favourite houses. If you watch my channel very regularly, you will know that my favourite house is, or one of my very, very favourite houses is Kilian. My best, my number 1 scent of all time comes from them. But the one I've gone for is known as Aphrodisiac, another very, very sexy fragrance, is Back to Black by Kilian. Now this one, again, this one's a beautiful sort of honey, vanilla, there's a little bit of almond in there, but the tobacco as well. I mean, this one just, to me, is just another very, very sexy fragrance. I mean, it's hard to say between this one and Rehab, which would be sexier. I mean, they're quite similar fragrances, but in sort of the lines of the sort of smell that they're going for, but they are different fragrances at the same time. To me, this is a lot more tobacco-y, which I really do enjoy, because obviously I like tobacco a lot. But yeah, I mean, I'd say between this one and Rehab is pretty much the balance of the tobacco that you get in. And this one, as I said, this one carries a bit more tobacco. This one does wear a little bit closer to the skin again, but it's so beautiful, and it's one that I'd definitely sort of recommend for like a perfect date fragrance or something like that, because you want something that's closer to the skin in that case. And that's why Rehab, again, I mean, that one is also perfect for a sort of a dating fragrance, because you want something that's close to the skin, something that's going to keep sort of pulling somebody in. They want to grab, keep getting more and more of it. So Back to Black does exactly that. Like I said, it's slightly higher in the tobacco. The tobacco is very, very detectable in this one. And I mean, from what I get in this one, I mean, the tobacco that sits in this one is sort of cherry pipe tobacco, which just gives it a sweetness that's absolutely stunning. But then you've got it mixed in with the honey and the vanilla as well. I mean, just give you a sort of view of the notes. This one's got a lot of notes in, so bear with me. In the top notes, you've got bergamot, cardamom, you've got coriander seed, raspberry and blue chamomile. In the heart notes, you've got honey, oiban, atlas cedarwood, vetiver, patchouli and moss. And then in the base, you've got that beautiful sort of cherry pipe tobacco, amber, cistus, labdanum, almond and vanilla. And this, like I said, it goes together to make such a beautiful blended fragrance, an incredibly sexy fragrance. If you haven't smelt this one and you do like tobacco notes, this is definitely one you need to get your hands on in order to try it. A very, very sexy fragrance. So in number 2, I've got Back to Black by Kilian. Right, so into my top spot. Now, this is one that I discovered, and this has been one of my greatest finds this year. If you're looking for a sort of an amazing cigar, sort of, I'd say it's kind of a dirtier tobacco smell. But for me, what this one does is it creates the smell of, if you can imagine a really upscale sort of cigar lounge, kitted out with sort of beautiful oak furniture, leather upholstery, and sort of some very, very sort of high-end Cuban cigars sort of burning in the background. That's the smell that you're going to get with this one. And it does, some people may say cigar lounge does smell a bit dirty, but this is an incredibly sexy fragrance and very, very masculine fragrance at the same time. When I put this on, I was expecting my wife not to like this one. I loved it, but I wasn't expecting my wife to like it, and she really did like it. She said it smelled very, very sexy. So the one I'm talking about, you will know if you've been watching my channel regularly or recently, that one of the greatest finds, and I even posted it today on Instagram as well, was in my top 5 sort of manly smells, and that is Sandor 70s by Carner, Barcelona. This one, just definitely one of the best finds I've had this year. As you can see, unfortunately, I don't have much left. I'm going to have to treat myself to a bottle, I think, quite soon, but this one, just absolutely stunning. Like I say, I mean, to me, that's the smell that it evokes. Just an upscale cigar lounge. You got sort of like that smell of whiskey in the air, leather upholstery on oak furniture, just a very, very upscale sort of cigar lounge. I mean, what more can I say about this one? It's absolutely stunning. The longevity, again, fantastic. The longevity just goes on and on. Projection, this one's actually quite a strong one. You're probably looking at around sort of 2 to 3 feet, which is quite strong for a tobacco fragrance because they generally wear sort of a little bit closer to the skin. This one, again's got quite a lot of notes in it. In the top, you've got suede accord, Italian bergamot, vintage jasmine absolute. You've got Chinese osmanthus absolute and Bulgarian rose essence. In the heart, you've got tobacco accord, clary sage absolute, Virginian cedarwood, Peru balsam, Mexican vanilla extract. And in the base notes, you've got Spanish leather accord, which is where you get that wonderful sort of leathery fragrance from. You've got patchouli essence, vetiver essence, Ethiopian frankincense extract, and oak moss absolute. And just, it's such a well blended tobacco fragrance. The tobacco is definitely there. Although there's a lot of notes in this one, the tobacco is very, very prominent. And I definitely pick it out as like a cigar tobacco. It's that wonderful sort of Cuban cigar smell that you get from this one in, like I say, in the background of a sort of a very upscale cigar lounge. So this one sits at number 1 for me. Like I said, one of my best finds this year. And definitely, I'm so glad that I did find it because it's just mind-blowing. And if you're looking for a masculine tobacco, I'd say this is definitely the one that I would choose. If you're looking for something sexier or sort of more of a dating fragrance, I'd say between Rehab and Back to Black. And then, I mean, otherwise, if you're looking for something sort of cigar-y, but a little bit sweeter, you've got the Creed Tabarome Millesime as well. So 5 wonderful tobacco fragrances and all very, very perfect for winter wear. I mean, I'll wear any of those in the heat out here as well. And they're all perfect for sort of any kind of, any time of year really, and any temperature, but definitely perfect for winter. So that's my top 5. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. So please like, comment, and comment and subscribe. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so stick them in the comments below. Let me know what your top 5s would be when it comes to tobacco fragrances. Tobacco is one of my favourite notes, as I said. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. You can find me at Luxury Fragrance Boss. That way you'll find out my scent of the day, anything new that I've got coming in. I post pictures all the time, sometimes 2 or 3 times during the day. That way you'll find out when my videos are coming out. Speaking of which, don't forget to get, sorry, I'm struggling to speak tonight. But don't forget to hit that notification button, that little bell there. That way you'll never miss a video because you get notified anytime I release a new one. Other than that, stay smelling fantastic. I hope you look forward to part 5, which is my gourmands, and that will be coming out on Sunday. So until then, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you very, very soon.